Hi everyone, I'm Mark Pfeifer. Welcome to this course on Apostles Then and Now. This course is based on the book that I wrote called Apostles Then and Now. This course is going to include reading the chapters of this book and using the study guide. Now, if you do not have this study guide, you can download this study guide, but please be sure that you print it off and have this ready. This is going to be a vital part of this video course. Now, I want to answer the question, why did I write this book? Why did I take the time and write this book, Apostles Then and Now? We also ought to answer the question, then why do this video course? And the reason is because I believe that God has been giving the body of Christ revelation about the full functioning fivefold ministry for the past 20, 30, and 40 years. Now, when I was a kid growing up, we had pastors and evangelists and teachers. And those were the three functioning offices in the church. And those three offices function to help strengthen the saints, equip us for the work of ministry. However, there are two more offices mentioned in Ephesians chapter 4, and that is the office of prophet and apostle. Now, we really didn't have a paradigm to understand what those ministries are really all about when I was growing up. I mean, we didn't even know if apostles and prophets existed. Maybe they were just for 2,000 years ago, and God was done with them since we have the Bible in written form. We no longer needed prophets and apostles. And this really is how I was taught up through my educational years. However, I began to discover just from reading the Word that there really are no scriptures to back up the claim that God has three of those five offices. But when Jesus ascended on high and he gave these gifts to the church, it began to appear to me that God wanted to continue the ministry of apostles and prophets alongside of evangelists, pastors, and teachers. And so as I began to develop an understanding from the Word about what a prophet would look like in the church today, then I moved on to what an apostle would look like in the church today. And that kind of brings us up into recent history, why I wrote this book, Apostles Then and Now. It's because what I'm hearing from people is a bit confusing. Let me describe it as what I'm hearing are two people on opposite ends of the teeter-totter, the seesaw. And it seems like we have two kind of voices coming forth, but the balance of the two, there's not a lot said about. Let me give you an example of what I mean. On one side, we have people who have an apostolic revelation. And what I mean by that is they can teach on the apostolic. And I would go to apostolic conferences and read books on apostles, and it all kind of seemed very vague. Do you know what I mean? It seemed kind of theoretical. It seemed like a lot of words, basically, but there still was not practical function on what an apostle should look like today, how an apostle functions in a local church or with a local church. And so I would hear things that, apostles are God's great authoritative voice to bring down the paradigms of shifting religious spirits and assignments in the second heaven over regions and cities of the ecclesia. I mean, I would hear so much of that, I thought, wow, it seems so vague and esoteric in those definitions. I thought, I just want to know how to function today in an apostolic environment with apostles. What do they do today? Then, on the other extreme of that seesaw teeter-totter I'm talking about, are people who I believe were actually doing it. And then when I heard them talk, they really didn't know how they were doing it. It was almost like those over here that didn't do it could talk a lot about it, and those over here who did it didn't know how to talk about it. And wow, it began to be even more confusing because I would go to these people and talk to them about apostles, and some of them would have incredible ministries. They would have networks of churches, planting churches all over the world. And you'd talk to them, and some of them would say, well, I don't know, maybe I am an apostle, maybe not. Who knows? Who cares? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I don't even know if apostles are real today. And I'm scratching my head thinking, I'm looking at one. What you're doing is precisely what I think the Word would say an apostle does. But it seemed like these people who did it oftentimes didn't even know how that they did it. They couldn't share their wisdom. So there I was, this teeter-totter seesaw thing I'm talking about. People who don't do it but talk about it. People that do it who won't talk about it. So over the years of trying to glean from the two camps, I've really tried to make it a point to do this, to bring it all together here in the middle. And in that middle ground, I hope that we both can journey as you read the book, Apostles Then and Now, and as we go through this video series, in the middle, a place where practicality meets theory and brings it together in a very understandable, non-theatrical, practical, and pragmatic way. Hopefully this book and this course will help all of us understand how apostles can function in a very practical, very needful, and very helpful way in and around and with the local church that you may pastor or you may attend. And so I'm excited about this course. Here's how we're going to roll. First of all, you'll read chapter 1 of this book. That's your next assignment. After this video is done, read chapter 1 of the book. These chapters are very short, very brief, and I did that for a reason. Then secondly, go to the study guide. That's, again, if you haven't downloaded this, download the study guide, print it off. Go to the study guide and fill out the questions that are assigned right here in chapter 1. Okay? Fill out this. It's kind of a self-evaluation. And the questions are the same from chapter to chapter, basically asking you, what are the key truths that you gleaned from this chapter? And I want you to give that some thought. What did I learn from this chapter? How is this going to help me? How can we implement this? Because I want you to start thinking about not just reading the material, but how you can help extend the apostolic movement on the earth today. How you can play a part in this vital movement. So that's what we're going to do again. Really excited that you're joining me. Really excited about this course.